What's going on, everybody? It's Pack, aka the Herald of Galacta, back with another video, and today we're doing What If War Machine was a Vanguard in Marvel Rivals? As always, when I use somebody else's art, I always have to give them a shout out. So shout out to Winston, win.artstation.com, for making this super awesome War Machine concept, which just coincidentally goes really well with the kit that I made for him. So I'm really excited to show you guys what I have today. Alright, so base HP is 650, base speed is 6 meters per second, and his main attribute is his auto turret. He's going to be kind of a area denial sort of a vanguard. So let's get into the kit. Okay, so the primary fire. War Machine uses his arm guns to fire at enemies. So basically he has like an arm machine gun that'll shoot a lot like Rocket Raccoon's primary fire, except for his will be hit scan. That just has really bad spread at range. So up close it'll be doing pretty good damage, pretty accurate, but the further the target is away, the worse the spread is on the gun. And then for secondary fire, he has war missiles. So he shoots out, War Machine uses his armed guns to fire small missiles at enemies. He has 4 charges of these that auto regenerate. So kind of the way that Johnny's flame, the ones he can throw and then create the field with, that they auto generate, it'll be the same thing with these. And he basically shoots like a projectile missile that does like splash damage on impact, sort of like an Iron Man shot almost. So that's his primary and his secondary fire. So then we have, first we'll start with his passives, because this is what his whole kit is built around. So War Turret. War Machine's auto turret will lock onto and fire at enemies who are within an 8-meter radius of him. So the turret will basically act as a sort of deterrent for enemies that get too close. It can only fire at one at a time, and it'll select the lowest health target first. So yeah, it's sort of a, like I said, he's an area denial. It takes a little bit of space that'll help him keep people off his supports if he plays with them. And then the second passive is called Heavy Armor. War Machine's armor makes him heavy. When he lands from a height of 10 meters or higher, he will deal damage and knock back enemies. This is just kind of like a silly, interesting thing that I thought would be interesting with his kit, because one of his abilities allows him to free fly on a fuel gauge. So if he uses it to sort of engage and then land on supports, he can, do something with that as well. Just thought it'd be interesting. Okay, so now we'll go over the abilities. First ability is called Mega Missile. War Machine shoots a missile from his shoulder that does explosive damage and sets enemies on fire for 2 seconds, dealing 20 damage per second, and that has an 8-second cooldown. So basically his like tank gun on his shoulder will aim down and shoot one single missile that, when it hits, will do large bursts, like an explosion damage, and then anybody hit by that will get caught on fire for 2 seconds, taking 20 damage per second. So a total of 40 damage if you get caught by the fire. And the explosion itself will also have damage. So this is sort of just like a a single hit sort of burst option that he has for from immediate damage. Second ability is called Rocket Boosters. War Machine has a fuel gauge that allows him to hold jump to fly. He can freely fly for the duration of the fuel. So basically, if he holds jump, he can just float up and fly around, which is essentially a jetpack. Third ability is called Locked On. War Machine sets his turret to auto-lock on an enemy, increasing its fire rate and damage for 4 seconds. For the duration of the ability, his auto turret's range is increased to the range of the ability 40 meters. So normally the turret will only lock on somebody who's 8 meters or less, but if you use this Locked On ability, basically what will happen is whatever enemy that you're aiming at, it'll auto-lock on that enemy. So you'll see like a little marker that's like, oh, this is the enemy that if you have locked on, this is who it'll be. And then you click the button and it's like, okay, that's the enemy we're going for. And then your turret will auto-fire at them, kind of like how Namor's turrets work when you hit them with the secondary fire, similar to that. So yeah, and then lastly we'll go over the ultimate. So War Machine sends out barrage of missiles from his back to rain down a selected area, dealing damage. The floor is ignited where the missiles fell, dealing 25 damage per second for 4 seconds. So basically he gets like a reticle that shows up, and he can like drop, place these missiles within a certain range of himself, and then they'll come down from the sky in like a straight line, sort of like a rectangle area, and then that whole area will be ignited in flames for 4 seconds, sort of like Johnny's flames, and then anybody standing there will take 20 damage per second, or sorry, 25 damage per second, and that lasts 4 seconds. So it's an initial burst of raining down damage, similar to Moon Knight, but his comes from all the way up in the sky. So like it'll hit even flyers, and then it'll do 25 damage per second to people on the floor. So another area denial, kind of keep away sort of thing. That's kind of how I see his playstyle being. Okay, so for this video I decided to do some team ups, and I've got some pretty cool ones here. Spoiler alert, one of them reveals a character I'm working on. So the first team up is called Shield and Telebullets. Nick Fury upgrades War Machine's War Turret. Any enemy hit by the War Turret will be revealed to all teammates for 6 seconds. So this is a passive team up when they're on the same team, and it basically just means that anybody whose turret is shooting will be marked. So like if you have a Panther or a Spidey in the back and they get shot with a turret, it'll mark them for everybody so that everyone can see like, oh, there's the diver, or whoever you're dealing with at the time. So that's the first team up. The second one is with Iron Man, and it's called Arc Reactor Beam. Iron Man installs an arc reactor into War Machine's turret. When activated, War Machine's turret will shoot a beam instead of bullets for the next 7 seconds, dealing increased damage. So it's essentially just taking what is normally a hit scan, bullet-based gun and turning it into a beam for 7 seconds with increased damage. Doesn't increase the range or anything, but if you use locked on while using this, it'll also still work. But yeah, that was my War Machine kit. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. Suggestions for new characters, all that stuff. I really appreciate you guys checking out the video, and I hope you like it. Have a good one.